Dave Roberts' postgame line, "That was his decision. Not a good baseball play," was short, blunt, and exactly the kind of managerial critique that lands when a team is sliding and every mistake feels magnified. It wasn't personal theater or a hot take designed for clicks. It was a textbook rebuke about situational baseball at a moment when context matters more than ever. The Dodgers are clinging to a thin division lead with the Padres breathing down their necks, and an unnecessary out at third with Freddie Freeman at the plate felt like a needless, self-inflicted wound. Let's unpack why Roberts' complaint resonates. Stealing third with 2 outs and a strong hitter due up is almost always a low expected value gamble. With 2 outs, almost every productive plate appearance is driven by the batter already at the dish. Walks, singles, or extra base hits, and a runner at second can score on hits that wouldn't work with 2 outs and nobody in scoring position. Removing a runner from the base paths at that moment subtracts optionality. You reduce the chance that Freeman can drive him in with a swing, and you replace it with the binary risk of being thrown out and killing the rally. For a player of Ohtani's caliber, .284, tied for the NL homer lead, 111 runs scored, the math says keep him running smart, not reckless. That said, Ohtani's aggressiveness on the bases has value. He's swiped 17 bags with only 5 caught stealings, which shows he's not a random risk taker. His base running creates lane pressure, forces defenses to hold runners, and can generate chaos that turns into runs over the long season. The problem isn't aggression itself, it's context and command and control. The team must decide where the line is between empowered, instinctive base running and unacceptable game-tilting risk. Roberts' public comment serves 3 immediate functions. 1, it establishes standards and accountability. When the margin for error is slim, veterans are expected to play the right baseball. 2, it signals to the clubhouse and fan base that situational discipline is non-negotiable. And 3, it warns other players that individual discretion will be judged with the team's postseason picture in mind. Managers use those moments to reassert the collective over the charismatic individual, and in the Dodgers' pressure cooker, that's often necessary. But there are trade-offs. Publicly calling out a superstar is delicate. Ohtani is the team's engine. He produces in ways few players can. Hindrances in the manager-player relationship can simmer if critiques feel punitive rather than corrective. Roberts struck a relatively neutral tone, factual and not incendiary, which is prudent. The ideal next step is not public escalation, but an internal, data-driven conversation. Review the scouting report, the pitcher-catcher matchup, the pitch sequence that preceded the attempt, and the steal probability model. If the evidence shows the throw was avoidable or the sign was misunderstood, fix the process. If Ohtani's instincts were sound under certain empirical thresholds, clarify those thresholds going forward. Operationally, the Dodgers should do 3 things right away. First, tighten the decision protocol for steals. That means explicit situational rules, avoid steal third attempts in 2-out situations with a high OBP threat at the plate, restrict second to third attempts in late innings unless the catcher's pop time and arm metrics are favorable or the pitcher's delivery is demonstrably slow. Put an analytics-backed rulebook in the player's tap hands so instincts get channeled through repeatable, team-approved criteria. Second, use this moment as a teachable example in the clubhouse rather than a moralizing root cause blame session. Ohtani should be part of the review, not isolated by it. He's a competitive leader. Involving him in refining policy preserves his agency while aligning him with team risk tolerances. Veterans respond better to collaborative calibration than to unilateral bans. Third, reinforce situational hitting and small ball planning. The Dodgers left 16 on base and were 1 for 10 with rest. That's not cured by limiting steals alone. It's a culture of details problem. 2-strike discipline, situational approaches for Freeman Ohtani / Freddie's spot, and design sequences to manufacture runs. Hit and runs, sacrifice situation practice, intentional sequencing. If the offense converts even a few of those stranded men, the impact of one avoidable base running out evaporates. Contextually, the timing could not be worse. The Padres are surging, and the Dodgers' July-to-date stretch, 15-18 since July 1, contrasts sharply with San Diego's run. In a tight NL West race, every marginal decision becomes a micro-turning point. The narrative of momentum slipping compounds psychological pressure. That makes Roberts' public line understandable. It's an attempt to retighten the group's attention. There's one more nuance, the human side of Ohtani. He is, by any measure, a generational talent and one of the most emotionally invested competitors in the game. He will continue to challenge conventions. That's part of why he's so valuable. The club's job is to harness that fire. Don't neuter him. Channel him. Teach thresholds where his natural instincts are actually optimal. Early game steals, aggressive first and third scenarios, certain pitchers, catchers, and enforce limits where the expected value is negative. 2 outs, late innings with a high OBP batter at the plate, high leverage situations. What happens next is tactical and cultural. Tactically, the Dodgers should review video, quantify the decision in run expectancy terms, and set crisp in-game signals so players know when discretion is allowed. Culturally, Roberts must maintain credibility without alienating Ohtani. A private debrief that leads to shared policy is the cleanest path. It corrects behavior, preserves trust, and sends the club-wide message Roberts intended. Finally, the short-term outlook. The Dodgers head to Anaheim and then face the Padres, a stretch where discipline counts. If the team cleans up situational play, tightens bullpen usage, and squeezes more output from RSP situations, they can staunch the slide. If marginal mistakes, base-running blunders, avoidable pitches elevated by relievers, and missed RBI chances continue, the division could flip. Roberts' line about Ohtani was less about 1 out and more about framing that margin. The good news, with a superstar and a hungry manager aligned on a sensible process, it's fixable. The Dodgers' task now is to translate that critique into cleaner execution, not just talk. The Dodgers' late-game collapse Sunday against the Toronto Blue Jays left more than a 1-run loss in its wake. It exposed a moment of poor situational judgment from the team's best player and earned a rare public rebuke from manager Dave Roberts. Los Angeles fell 5-4 in the series finale, surrendering a lead late and allowing the San Diego Padres to close the gap in the National League West to 2 games. The turning point, Roberts and others argued, came in the 5th inning when Shohei Ohtani was thrown out trying to steal third with Freddie Freeman at the plate. With 2 outs and a run-scoring opportunity in play, Ohtani's decision to break for third ended a promising rally and swung momentum back to Toronto. That was his decision, Roberts said bluntly after the game. Not a good baseball play. It's a notable reprimand because Roberts rarely calls out his stars so directly. Ohtani, who is having another MVP-caliber season, has been a catalyst at the plate and on the bases. He's hitting .284, tied for the National League lead in home runs with Kyle Schwarber, and has swiped 17 bases this year. Sunday's caught stealing was just his 5th of the season. Still, with Freddie Freeman, one of the game's most dangerous hitters, due up, Roberts and others felt the risk outweighed the reward. The timing of the miscue couldn't have been worse. The Dodgers had Arizona on the ropes in a game they expected to win and needed to hold serve in the standings as the stretch run approaches. Instead, a sequence that should have been small ball prudence turned into a rally killer. Later innings featured bullpen miscues that compounded the damage. But the 5th inning out will stick in the minds of teammates and management as an unnecessary self-inflicted wound. Beyond the single play, Sunday's loss points to larger issues the Dodgers must address: late inning execution, bullpen consistency, and situational discipline from even its most dynamic performers. The Dodgers relievers have allowed an alarming number of homers this year, and managerial impatience is creeping into public comments as the margin for error narrows. For Ohtani, the critique should sting. He remains the team's offensive engine and a player around whom a championship contender is built. But Roberts' comments serve as a reminder that even superstars are expected to play within the game plan and prioritize team situations over individual instincts. Los Angeles now turns the page quickly. A 3-game series at the Los Angeles Angels begins Monday, followed by a crucial weekend tilt with San Diego. With the division race tightening, little mistakes will loom large, and the Dodgers, star power aside, will need cleaner execution if they want to keep pace.